I say, and everything that I do. Please guide me in every way, each night and day, wherever place I may go. Please give me wisdom to know your love is in every heart. You fill each part, you're the light of the soul, the light of the soul. You're the love of all loves, the light of all lights, nearer than the nearest, dearer than the dearest. We are all your children, whether near or far. Help us always to remember just who we are, just who we are. We are your sons and daughters, sisters and brothers all. This gift of life you have given to us, one and all, both great and small. You are the love of all loves, the light of all lights, nearer than the nearest, dearer than the dearest, the fountain of bliss, the abode of grace. Fill us all up with joy by the side of your face. Through my every thought and all the words that I said, and everything that I do, please guide me in every way, each night and day, wherever place I may go. Please give me wisdom to know your love is in every heart. You fill each part, you're the light of the soul, the light of the soul. You're the love of all loves, the light of all lights, nearer than the nearest, dearer than the dearest.
Om Asato Ma Sadagamaya Tamaso Maham Jyoti Gamaya Mriturmam Amritam Gamaya Avir Maedhi Rudra Yate Dakshinam Mukha Te Namaham Pahinityam. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. And reach us through and through ourselves. And evermore protect us from ignorance by thy sweet, compassionate face. So my subject this morning is Steps to Realization. And I take my title from a lecture given by Swami Vedarupananda, New York City, 1895. And the subject was Jnana Yoga. You've probably seen that word jnana. Looks weird. Begins with a J-N. But lo and behold, if you read Germanic, which is that J changes to a K. At a KN, that means know. That's what jnana means. It's knowledge. Very simple. Jnana refers specifically to spiritual knowledge. And even more specifically to spiritual self-knowledge. So let's look at this idea of the self. You have a nature. You have a distilled essence. You have a soul. And it's not that you have a soul, but that you are a soul. And you have a body, and you have a mind. And the subject of the soul is the self. The self is the subject of your awareness. That is, it's your own consciousness. It's your own self-consciousness. That is I consciousness. And it is the I of the I. A favorite metaphor for the self is light. Light is a source, is the source from which we gain all of our knowledge, which illumines things, that enables us to know. Another word for consciousness and light is the spirit. The spirit is by definition nameless and formless. It's unlimited by time, space, and causation. Sanskrit is called the Atman. This is our true self. And the fundamental teaching of Vedanta is that the goal of life, the goal and purpose of life, is to realize ourself. To realize it means to know it directly, to have an immediate, direct experience. So how can I have an immediate experience of the subject? How can I become enlightened? How can I experience the oneness and the divinity in everything? How can I feel it just in my body and mind? Feel that I am the spirit. And the answer to that's a question. That's an age-old question. That is, it's a philosophical question. Asked in ancient times to the great sage Yajnavalkya by his wife Maitreyi. Yajnavalkya gives a discourse on the Atman, that is your true self. Your goal is to realize that self. She asks, how can I realize it? And he says, Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. That's the phrase. By hearing, by thinking, by meditating. Or we could say, how can I realize my true nature? By apprehension, by comprehension, and by application. By acquiring knowledge, because that is information, becomes knowledge, becomes wisdom. And so wisdom is the goal. Wisdom doesn't just not speaking wise words, but living wisely and well. So it's this threefold methodology that is the traditional, classical definition of jnana yoga. So let's just look at those 3 steps. First step, it says hearing. Literally, it means hearing, because in ancient times, there's no way you could get knowledge. You have to get information from somewhere. Where would you go? Well, it's very rare. You need to find out some saint or sage who can teach this to us. Now today we've got this step covered because we already have flooded with information. We can hear about it. We can read about it. And we can study it. And that's the first step. Is just learning more about Vedanta. Don't ask a question, is it true or not? Just spend some time listening to what's being said. Having done that, or while we're doing that, we begin the second step, which is hearing, thinking. We have to begin to think about it for ourselves. Think about it, make these ideas our own. That means become a critical thinker and follow the reasoning, follow the self-analysis and the introspection. Ask and resolve questions. The goal here is to reach a state of settled conviction that these ideas, that these truths, of teachings of Vedanta, and it's about the nature of yourself, are true. You have to come to that conviction within your own mind and heart. And that takes study and contemplation and moving from mere information to understanding, putting it into a larger context. The third stage of this practice is called application. We have to apply our knowledge to our own life. It's the presupposition that the student of yoga is committed to embodying and to realizing the truths, to getting everything in alignment. And you've seen there in a drugstore, you buy a bottle of aspirin, you try to open the bottle, you can't open it because it has a child-proof safety lid. Therefore, you have to look on it very closely. You'll see that at the top lid, there's a little red mark. On the bottom part, there's another red mark. And you got to get the two in alignment. So similarly it is, that it won't work or it won't work. Similarly here is in this third step now. This is the most difficult part. This is the part which it's about our integrity. We have to become integrated in our minds and heart. It's not enough to just have information and ideas. We have to integrate them. We have to integrate our thinking, our feeling, our willing, and our actions. This stage, in this third step, application, that is turning knowledge into wisdom, It's just about standing up for what you believe in, about becoming a gradual process of remaking yourself in the image of God. Now we're not in line with our own divine nature. There's a disjunction between the Atman and higher, we have two selves, as it were. And there's a distance between those two selves, and so we need to narrow the gap. We need to unify ourselves so that we can embody what we believe in. Now, this will require a process. This will require that we take certain steps to realization. And these steps together are going to constitute the practice of Jnana Yoga. Now, traditionally, these steps of practice are referred to as the fourfold sadhana, or the fourfold discipline. By sadhana, practice, it just means a practice. It means a training, or a virtue character building, an inner work. We have to do some inner working. It's an inner training. And these are fourfold. Number one is practicing discrimination. Viveka, it's called. Spiritual discrimination. That is between the real and the unreal. Between that which is not only right and wrong, but between what is real and unreal, between that which is eternal and transient, and most particularly about that which is the subject and the object. This is an ongoing practice of clarifying in our own mind and the implications between what the Bhagavad Gita the Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, not 13th chapter, Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, let's say, calls the field and the knower of the field. That is the subject and the object. And discriminating between consciousness and the contents of consciousness. Discriminating between the real, who you really are, and between the apparent man, between the higher and the lower. This is discrimination trainings. That is between each of the 5 phenomenological selves. And you've seen that German or Russian doll, it is, that Matryoshka doll, which is like a nesting of 5 little dolls, one inside the other. Similarly, it is with ourself and our condition of superimposition. We have 5 selves, as it were, but they're in disorder. They're out of hierarchy, and they're all mixed up. And that's why we are suffer in life, because we're mixed up. And so we have to sort ourselves out. This is the first step. Practicing sorting yourself out and recognizing your true nature. Now this first step goes hand in hand with the second. And that is viveka, vairagya. Vairagya just means dispassion or renunciation. And the example given we have from the Katha Upanishad, where the young boy, maybe he's 14 years old, he's cursed by his father to go down in the netherworld. There he meets with Yama, the Lord of Death, and Yama offers him for his inconvenience 3 boons. He fulfills 2 of them, and the boy asks about the nature of the self. And it's such a sacred, highest knowledge that Yama refuses to answer. And he offers him temptations of all worldly pleasures and of power and dominion and of all the enjoyments of the pleasures of the world. But the boy rejects them all. He had a spirit of renunciation. As he come to a crossroads, he was in pursuit of truth. Crossroads means we come to a fork in the road. We come every day to forks in the road. And so you have to use discrimination. Do we go the right way or go the wrong way? That's discrimination. Then we have to choose, make an effort of a will and character to choose the right way. That's renunciation. This is the second step in the fourfold sadhana. Now the third step, well, they do a little accounting trick here. Because in this third step, it's called the sixfold treasure. So you're going to squeeze 6 virtues into 1. They're called treasures because, they're already within you. You don't have to pray to God in heaven for these things. These are powers that you already have within you. The first 2, Shama and Dhamma, are about self-control and self-discipline. And the idea is that we need to begin to practice, the training here is restraining the mind and restraining the senses. The classical analogy from the Katha Upanishad is about the body, compares the body, the 3rd chapter in Katha Upanishad, compares the body with the chariot. The mind is like the reins. The horses are the senses. The mind is the reins. The spirit is the rider in the chariot. And now see what happens that the horses have gone out of control. The reins have slipped from the hands of the driver. And so now he has to make an effort to gain control again over his senses and over the mind, that is, over the reins, so that his dialogue with the self can continue. That's Shama and Dhamma. First 2 of the 6 treasures, and the third is called Uparati. Uparati just means withdrawal from the world and from all the things in the world, withdrawing your mind from external things. Now we're on a spiritual path here. we're talking about religion. We're talking about the highest level of spiritual practices. Now, when we speak and think, when we see something, then we speak about what we see, about what we will see. When we hear something, then we talk about what we're hearing, or talk about what we have heard, or talk about what we will hear. And when we cook and eat something, we talk about what we are eating, talk about what we will eat. It's all about the mind, exerting the mind going outwards. And the ideal of yoga, in the Bhagavad Gita, 5th chapter, he who sees finds his happiness within, who finds his joy within, who finds his light within. He is a yogi. That's the goal. To find your happiness and your light within yourself. Very difficult to do that. Because our mind is like this, like Sri Ramakrishna says, our mind is like a mongoose who fights with the cobra. Now he's tired, so he's going to go up, and he lives in a hole way up on a brick wall. He climbs up there, climbs into the hole, and now he's resting. But his tail's hanging out. Sometimes boys come along and they tie a brick to his tail, and the poor little mongoose is dragged out of his home. Similarly it is with ourselves. How we find ourselves, mind easily, naturally, as it were, dragged out into the outside. All yogas share the same ideal. Now our attention is naturally directed outwards and downwards. And the ideal now is to go inwards and upwards. So that is number 3 of the 6 treasures. The 4th is called titiksha. Titiksha just means standing firm. It means patience, forbearance, inner toughness, and a cheerful willingness to live in a non-reactive way to all of the difficulties and the pains and the distractions and discomforts of life, even to the smallest degree. Think about a mosquito. Little mosquito, small and trifling thing. One day such a mosquito was flying around in the field. He was so hot and tired. So he landed on the arm of the farmer, who immediately brushed him off, who couldn't bear his presence. And that poor little mosquito, he was so tired, he flew around there. He saw the bull, like a Brahma bull in the field. He had a span of his horns between 5 feet. And he flew around, he landed on the tip of the horn of that bull. "Hello, sir. Can I please rest here for a moment?" And he got no answer. And so he climbed down his horn, and again he repeated his request, no answer. And so he climbed all the way down to the bull's ear and shouted into his ear, "Excuse me, sir. Can I rest for a moment on the tip of your horn? And a bull turned. Oh, excuse me, I didn't even know you were there. Sure, come right along and bring your whole family. So that's the attitude of the bull. That's titiksha. That means no reaction. He's bigger than the distraction. And thus he lives happily, absorbed in himself. Fifth treasure, we're just going through these 6 treasures. Necessary in part of the practice of jnana yoga. The 5th of the treasures is called samadhana. That means concentration. Concentration just means cycling around the subject, which is yourself, around Brahman. In one interpretation, it could mean in the study of this philosophy, you're going to need to do some hermeneutics, enter into the hermeneutic circle. That means when you're here, you hear about the truth, then you think about it, then you take action, then you hear about it again, and you review it, and you take action again. That's the cycle. That's the hermeneutic circle. In so doing, you concentrate the mind, and it's drawn down like a vortex and becomes penetrating. Of course, the word samadhana, it means referring directly to the practice of meditation. The idea is that the central practice is going to be meditation on Brahman. And that's good. That's what you're already doing. Already, when you sit for meditation, you begin your focus with the mantra Om. Om is the name of Brahman. And so in meditating now, you're meditating on Brahman. This is samadhana. And the 6th virtue takes a lot of work to be a jnani. The 6th virtue is called Shraddha. Shraddha means, Swami Vedarupananda, translation, as faith in yourself. Ordinarily we think of faith, so we direct our faith to God in heaven, to the person, apart from ourselves in a heavenly world. It's there that we look for our source of our higher power and our inner strength and our inspiration. But Vedanta is giving us a new interpretation, a new focus here on Shraddha. That means on faith in yourself. Yourself here means your higher self, the spirit. And it says faith in yourself here. It means faith is not just belief. Faith means an awakening of spiritual grasp on your own higher spiritual nature. So that's faith. Well, you already have faith in yourself, your personal self. We need now only to open our awareness to our higher nature and to take back the reins of power. Take the power back into our own grasp. That'd be faith in ourselves. So that's the third. The fourth is very easy. That is the fourth step in the practice of the fourfold sadhana. And called mumukshutva. That is a strong yearning, a desire for freedom. And you know, there are many people who begin to study Vedanta and who want to know more about it and maybe get an academic interest and mastery of this philosophy. But they're not doing jnana yoga. Because jnana yoga begins here with a longing for liberation. So it's with that view, our aspiration to self-realization. What is self-realization? Well, it's just the immediate, direct, intuitive, superconscious knowledge that you are the spirit and you're not the body and the mind. And there's been a shift from the lower to the higher, from the ego to the spirit, from the apparent to the real man. And such a person becomes an embodiment of discriminative wisdom. And you can read about it in the Nirvana Shatakam, where he realizes I'm not the body, not the mind, but the spirit. It seems like it's a very high ideal. But we have a natural, intuitive understanding of it. And the way is laid out before us. The path. This is the path of jnana yoga. The way and the path is open to us. We need only to take the steps to realization.